Namara froze as Kasule's arrow pressed against her chest, poison dripping from its stone-sharp tip. One move and you join the spirits which. Chapter 1. A Miracle Bath. The first pains came as Namara sorted herbs in the pre-dawn light. She walked through each contraction, not wanting to worry Mweru before the sun rose. But as the sky brightened, so did her suffering. When her waters broke, she knew she couldn't wait any longer. Mweru, the baby is coming! He rushed to her side and helped Namara walk slowly to the hut. There on a bed of woven mats, she labored through the morning. Mweru mopped her brow and let Namara squeeze his hand during each screaming push. By midday, her efforts showed no signs of success. Namara's friend Kira arrived and examined her. The baby is tangled. You must try hard, my friend. Namara groaned and pushed with renewed strength. Finally, her struggle seemed over. But instead of a newborn's cry, only a strange hissing emerged. By the spirits! What is this? Kira cried in horror. Kira peered between Namara's blooded thighs and coiled in shock. A snake! You birthed a snake instead of a child. Namara shook her head in disbelief. Muriel lifted the creature carefully from the bathing bed. Its skin glistened dark green patterned with golden flecks. Two beady eyes peered about as it writhed in his hands. Take it away. Kill it before it bites. Kira cried, but Namara found her voice. No! That's my baby. Don't you dare harm him. She struggled to sit up, gritting her teeth against the pain, reaching weakly. Namara took the snake from Miro's hands and cradled it to her breast. Its tongue flickered out, testing her perspiration, then it curled contentedly against her chest. See? He knows his mother. This is no ordinary bath, Namara insisted. Mero gazed at his wife in awe of her bravery and strength. Then we shall care for him as our own. Kira threw her hands up in disgust. You both have lost your senses. The village will think you're cursed. She stormed from the hut like a bat out of hell. That evening, as the sun set golden beyond the acacia trees, Rohanga the village elder came to see Namara. He examined her, the strange child nodding sagely. Dark magic was at work here, my daughter, meant to destroy you. But through your resilience, life has taken a new form instead of death. Name him well, he will be your protector. Namara met Mweru's loving eyes, drawing courage. Then I shall call him Atumbi, for he triumphed over evil. Rohanga smiled and blessed them both before departing into the night. But outside, the village stirred with fearful murmurs about Namara's so-called miracle and the trouble it would surely bring. Chapter 2. Whispers in the Wind. In the months that followed, Namara recovered her strength and nursed Atumbi in their little hut at the edge of the village. Every day, he grew longer and fatter, yet he remained docile in her care. But outside, voices carried on the breeze, tangled with the acacia trees. It's unnatural, I tell you. That snake will surely hex all of us. Poor Mweru, stuck with such a cursed wife. His corpse will never recover this red. Namara tried to ignore the hurtful chatter, focused on Atumbi's care. But one afternoon at the river, the gossip caught up to her. As she filled gourds with water, Kira arrived, followed by a crowd of onlookers. Is it true that the snake now eats crawling things? What kind of female feeds such an appetite? Namara met her friend's eyes steadily. Atumbi eats what nature provides, as all creatures do, and he's no less my child for being hatched from an egg rather than a womb. Kira replied, You mistake nature for witchery, defending the indefensible. Mark my words, that creature will be your downfall. They left in disapproval, leaving Namara shaken. Atumbi wrapped himself soothingly around her arm in response to her distress. Meanwhile, Miro's Shamba fell into despair. Without his wife's help, stalks of maize failed and beans strangled each other. Wild pigs daily invaded the pathetic fences, leaving muddy trails of destruction. At the market one afternoon, Kasule the hunter stopped by Mwiru's stall. Your soil has soured like milk left in the sun, my friend. This is no way for a man to provide, Mwiru replied. If you've come to spread gossip, be on your way. I'll not abandon Namara and Atumbi whatever trouble comes. Kasule holds his hands up in a show of peace. I offer only concern for an old friend. Think on what I've said, for your own sake, if not hers. He left with a dark look towards Namara's hut. That night, Miro turned restlessly in their sleeping furs as Namara cradled Atumbi, lost in thought. The past months had seen only strange after strange, despite Namara's care and Miro's stubborn defense. Doubt crept in like a desert snake coiling around Miro's heart. Had Kira spoken the truth? Was Atumbi truly a curse rather than a miracle? And if so, how long could he deny the villagers' cries for justice before he too surrendered to fear and rage? Exhausted, Miro drifted into a fitful sleep. But outside, unseen in the dark, a pair of vengeful eyes watched their home, waiting to make their move. Chapter 3: A Husband's Hunt. In the days that followed, Miro rose before dawn to tend to his failing crops, but each morning he found new signs of neglect, ruined fences, troubled herbs. It seemed his trouble grew as quickly as the weeds now choking his shamba. After another fruitless hunt for pests, he wandered into the village in search of answers. At Ruhanga's hut, the old man shook his head sadly over a gourd of millet beer. Dark magic has a stranglehold here, my friend. You must be vigilant. But at Kira's home, she waved away Muiro's concern with a coy smile. Perhaps the curse has turned on its maker at last. Best look at your own household for the source of your woes. Frustrated, Muiro left and wandered down to the river, lost in troubled thoughts. There he found Kasule, idly sharpening his hunting spear. Any sign of relief from the curses hunting you, Muiro? Or must we face the truth that your wife sleeps with demons? Before he knew it, Miro's fist connected with Kasule's jaw in a crack of a bone. How dare you speak of Namara that way? She endured suffering no other could to birth our child. Kasule rubbed his bruising flesh, eyes glinting into malice. Defend the indefensible then, if it pleases you, but watch the serpent in your bed before its venom finds your heart. He spat blood into the reeds and melted into the wilderness. Shaken, Muro returned home as the night fell, but inside doubts lingered like biting insects. Could Kasule speak the truth that he was afraid to face? Muro watched Namara rocking Atumbi and tried to ignore the cold hand clutching his gut. In the days that followed, he quietly began investigations of his own, asking subtle questions of neighbors, studying livestock for mysterious signs, spying from afar on his home. Each night, Miro laid awake replaying clues, growing more certain something sinister was amiss. But what was the source within or beyond his gates? One blistering afternoon, Kasule approached with a twisted smile and suggestion. Come, old friend, I've found signs of demons nesting near your shamba. Let's lay traps and be rid of the plague troubling you. Eager for answers, Miro agreed despite his suspicions, but deep in the brush, Kasule's traps held only lies as Miro confronted him, and the hunter struck fast, sending Miro crashing into oblivion. When consciousness slowly returned, new doubts had taken root in Miro's mind like the most poisonous of weeds. For who else but Namara would want him out of the way with secrets to hide? Chapter 4: Shadows Lengthen. As the dry season's grip tightened over the land, so too did Namara feel the village's enmity close around her throat each market day. Women crossed the streets to avoid her, tagging their children behind. Traders turned her away with angry refusals. One blistering noon as Namara haggled over wilting leaves of a mango tree, a rock struck her shoulder from the crowd. She spun to see faces twisted in hate before they scattered like startled ants. More missiles rained down until Namara fled, clutching her wounded pride. That evening, she cried bitter tears as Atumbi consoled her. The village has turned my son, even old friends betraying me. What evil have we done to deserve such scorn? Atumbi flickered his tongue agitated. Danger comes, mother, on whispers of twisted tongues. We must be watchful. Meanwhile, Muro's injuries from Kasule festered into dark suspicions. Each time he now looked upon Namara, a shadow fell between them. One night over a meal of millet porridge, he could stand it no more. Tell me, wife, what business had you with Kasule when last I confronted him? Some secrets you wanted to keep from me and the village, Namara gaped in confusion and hurt. I've had no dealings with that man since he tried to come between us. You know this. Miro slammed his bowl down, its pieces shattered in the dust. Lies, all of it. First the snake, now a knife in my back from one of you. I'll learn the ugly truth of this curse if it's the last thing I do. He stormed from the hut, leaving Namara weeping in his wake. Atumbi flared his hood venomously. Danger comes for us soon. I feel it in my scales. We must flee before the night is done. But where could they go, with the whole village turned against them? Namara collected what few belongings would fit in her sack, deciding to seek shelter in the wilderness until answers arose. Perhaps there, hidden from prying eyes and twisted tongues, she could find the truth and save her fractured family. As the last sign of daylight guttered out, Namara slipped from the hut with a tumbi twined around her shoulders. But unseen from the gloom, a dark figure emerged from the bush to bar her path. Kasule glided into the moonlight, bow drawn, arrow aimed on Namara's pounding heart. At last, the game was afoot. Chapter 5 Confrontations. Namara froze as Kasule's arrow pressed against her chest, poison dripping from its stone-sharp tip. One move and you join the spirits which turn around slowly. Have business with that snake of yours. Atumbi reared with a low hiss, hood flaring in threat, but Kasole only smiled, fingers twitching in the bowstring. Make your choice, serpent. Submit or watch your mistress die. Suddenly a voice cut through the darkness. Kasule, stand down from my wife at once. Mwiru emerged from the shadows, Ruhanga hobbling behind with staff in hand. Release Namara now, or face the village's wrath. For a long moment, Kasule seemed to war with himself, pleasure and frustration battling on his face. Then with a snarl, he lowered his bow and spat at Namara's feet. Mark this day, witch, for it's the last your devilry pollutes these lands. He melted back towards the village. Mary rushed to Namara, embracing her tightly as she sobbed against his chest. Forgive me for doubting you, my love, he whispered brokenly. Ruhanga guided them back to their shattered home. Inside, Atumbi curled protectively around Namara while Mwiro and Ruhanga spoke in low voices. It seems Kasule's jealousy festered into dark ambitions, using Kira to spread rumors and sour relationships between us, said Mwiru. Ruhanga nodded grimly, and when direct threats failed to ruin you, he sought deadlier means through poison and trickery. The people need to see proof of his evil if peace is to return. Just then, Atumbi stirred, flickering his tongue alertly. Footsteps approached, but these moved with ugly intent. Mwiru grabbed a knife and ran outside, finding Kasule dragging the unmoving form of Kira towards the hut and a bloody axe in hand. You! Ruhanga cried in anger and grief. Have you no limit to your darkness, killing even your accomplice? Kasule sneered, throwing Kira's corpse at their feet. Better the crocodile drowns with me than escape to flap her poisonous tongue another day. Consider this a warning. Anyone who stands between me and what is rightfully mine will face worse than a traitor's end. He turned to leave, but Atumbi langed, sinking his venomous fangs deep into Kasule's leg. The hunter screamed and fell, writhing as his flesh began to blacken and wither. Good riddance to bad rubbish, the snake seemed to say before retracting back to Namara's safe embrace. Now the village will see you for the monster you are, said Ruhanga. Come down, justice will at last be done here. Chapter 6 Justice is Served. As the sun rose over the Shambas, its light revealed a village stirred from slumber. Word has spread through the night like wildfire of Kasule's evil and impending demise. By dawn, the people massed outside Namara and Mwiru's hut. When Ruhanga emerged holding Kasule's wrinkled, blackened leg as evidence, angry whispers swelled to a roar. The elders silenced them with a gesture. Today, we bear witness and deliver judgment on this man's crimes. Bring him forth. Two young men dragged Kasule's mourning form into the light, bites festering over his body. He met the people's hatred with a weak sneer. You see the serpent I fought to remove from your midst? Even now it poisons me. Enough of your poisonous tongue, called out one of the herders Kasule had tormented for years. We see clearly now who is truly cursed. As the discussion continued, Namara and Mwiru clung to each other, relief and fear warring within. Whatever the village decided, they had each other under Tumbi's fearless protection, whatever storm lay ahead. At last, Ruhanga raised his hands. By consensus of the people, Kasule is exiled forever from these lands on the pain of death. May he rot as thoroughly as the evil in his dark heart. Cheers and jeers followed Kasule's stumbling departure. Then the people turned to Namara, heads bowed in shame and hands bearing gifts of apology. Chicken, grain, woven mats. Please forgive our ignorance, daughter. Throughout your resilience, a blessing has been revealed. Tears of joy fell as Namara embraced each villager. In time, all wounds would heal. In the weeks that followed, Mwiru's shamba flourished once more under Namara's care. Atumbi grew strong, hunting pests from the field. One night, as Namara's belly began to swell with new life, Atumbi flickered against her in the moonlight hut. My purpose here is fulfilled, mother. It's time I return to the wilderness, as is my nature. Know that I'll always watch over you both. Namara wept softly as she cradled him one last time. Then Atumbi slipped into the night, vanishing among the acacia trees. 9 moons later, she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, proof that through darkness comes light, and from suffering, redemption. The village rejoiced once more, ushering in a new era of love, hope, and community, all because of a woman's courage and a snake child's miracles. The end. For more African stories and tales, please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you're notified every time I post new videos. Thank you for watching.